Okay, this one, we have a problem that is x cubed plus x squared minus 4x minus 4 equals 0. A lot of you guys will look at that and have the same reaction that Mr. Dixon down here has and just be like, oh, geez. Okay, it looks like that would really suck to do, right? Actually, though, to solve a problem like this, we're going to do something called factoring by grouping, which is what we've been doing all along with our factoring. Okay, when I normally factor something, we take our 1 times 30, factors of 30 that subtract to give me 1. We use our 5 and 6. These steps right here where I split that up and I have 4 terms, I'm doing factoring by grouping to solve these problems. Okay, so if you guys want, we can go ahead and flip over to the back and we'll take care of solving a problem like this. Flip over to the back there real quick. And our problem was, oh, where's my pens? There we go. My problem was x cubed. Was it plus x squared? Yep. Plus x squared minus 4x minus 4, whoops, forgot my equal sign, equals 0. Okay. So when I'm going through this, just like when I solved by factoring before, it has to equal 0. It has to equal 0, it's not going to work. Okay, this has to equal 0, it's not going to work. Okay, so we've got it set equal to 0, so now we're going to do what's called factoring by grouping, which is exactly what we were doing before. What can I pull out of those two there? I can pull out an x squared, and if I do that, I'm left with an x, and I'm left with a positive 1. Then I'm going to go to my second two terms. What could I pull out of those two there? I can pull out a negative 4, and if I pulled out a negative 4, I'm left with an x plus 1. Okay, so I'm going to check. Do the two parts in parentheses match? Yes, they do. So one of my factors is x plus 1. And then my other factor is going to be what's left on the outside, x squared minus 4. So I've got an x squared minus 4 equals 0. Now, here's the trick with factoring by grouping is that we're not done. I've got an x plus 1 equals 0. I can solve that in factor. But I've also got an x squared minus 4. X squared is a perfect square number. 4 is a perfect square number. When you guys do factoring by grouping, you need to be prepared because they always hide difference of squares in there. So that x squared minus 4 could factor to an x plus 2 times an x minus 2. And then we still have our x plus 1 equals 0. So when you're doing factoring by grouping, always look for a difference of squares to show up because they usually will. Okay? Now I've got 3 factors, so I'm going to set those 3 factors all equal to 0. X plus 2 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. X plus 1 equals 0. And that's going to give me an x equals a negative 2, an x equals a 2, and an x equals a negative 1. And those are my 3 answers. So it's as easy as that. Okay, we reviewed a little bit of factoring by grouping, I believe on our exam 1, and I know we did it last year in Algebra 2 as well. But so this should be a quick review for you guys. The only time you do your factoring by grouping is if there's 4 terms there. Okay, so that's kind of the tell is if you see 4 terms, you're going to have to do factoring by grouping.